What's up, everybody? Hey, I want to give you guys an update. I built a mass page site, and I'll link. Well, I technically it's a mass page site. I didn't build but maybe 50 pages on it, but anyway, I'll link in the description to that tutorial video. I used a software called Mass Page Creator. It's awesome, but this is actually kind of an interesting story. So I'm going to tell you the whole story. If you watched my first video, you'll know the domain that I used is right here. And notice it's Ira Jettleson Bail Bonds. So I picked up this domain at auction, and I got it for a steal, right? Nobody was bidding on it really. I got a great deal on this domain. So I said, hey, I'm going to put a site on it, because I originally was going to use it as a PBN site, because I have a lot of other bail bonds websites, and I was going to build use it for a PBN site, but it was so good, and when I looked at its ranking history, I just said, you know what, I need to make this into a money site. So I did. I built a new site on it. I didn't restore the old site because it had the guy's picture on it and everything. But anyway, I ended up building a new site on it, and it started getting calls. I mean, this thing was started rocking out. It was doing really well. I mean, almost instantly. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to branch out. I'm going to make pages for New Jersey and then come back and make the rest of the pages for all of New York and then every city in Long Island. And I'm not sure, how many jails there are. I'm not sure of the jail or bail bond situation in the, on Long Island or even in the New York area. But I figured, the more pages I can make, the more chances I can get to, start driving some phone calls. So, but what ended up happening was I got the site up, got the call rail number on it, went ahead and forwarded the number to my partner, who is, who's actually a bail bondsman. And so I started forwarding the calls to him, because with bail bonds, if you're not licensed, if you're not a bail bondsman, you can't negotiate pricing with other. You can't negotiate for a percentage of the bond. So what our thing is we'll negotiate a percentage, or my partner will. I'm not allowed to do it, but he'll negotiate 30% of the bond with another bail bondsman. Whereas if you're just selling the calls, I mean, you can sell calls to him for a fixed price, like $10, or really, probably 25, 30 is what a solid call would go for. But it's more profitable if you know someone that's a bail bondsman, or you have a friend that's in the business. You guys can partner up, and they can negotiate 30%, because that seems to be the standard rate, I guess. If you're, and this is just, I'm not a bondsman, I don't know. I just kind of know just learning from my partner. But apparently, if you pass a bond to another state or to another bondsman, you can get 30%. So anyhow, so I started sending the calls, and lo and behold, this famous bail bondsman started calling in and having his people call in. And so I, switched the phones over to me, and I picked up his call, and he was very upset, and he actually accused me of stealing his website. So, I had to explain to him, like, hey, look, I didn't steal your site. I bought it at an auction. You didn't pay it. You didn't pay. You let it expire. And this guy had no clue. He thought that he had somehow gotten involved in some internet scam where people steal other people's websites. I mean, he was an alright guy, I guess. I mean, he was kind of a jerk, but it's understandable. I mean, I would be a jerk too if I genuinely believed somebody stole my website. And that's truly what he believed. The guy had no clue. So anyway, after arguing with this guy for a little while, I got in. He had one of his IT people call, and the IT guy, of course, understood the situation. So I ended up selling it back to him. Of course, I had to tax him a little bit because I invested a lot of time in this, and it was, I had a good opportunity to make some money here. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's the guy's name in the domain. So, and this guy definitely has the resources to see this through and actually take me to court over it. So rather than go through all that hassle and fight a losing battle, is more cost effective for me just to sell it back to them at a premium, tax them a little bit, and recoup my time and money that I invested into it. So, but the point to this video is that I want to show you how quickly you can rank pages with a mass page site like this. And again, this is built on an expired domain. I did have my team build an IFTTT network, and we hit it with local citations. I boosted the citations, and we also did a Google Drive stack. And while we were doing that link building, I threw a bunch of tweets at it. So I have a bunch of Twitter accounts, and what I do to make social signals is I just, make a bunch of tweets and put them all together with spin tags, and then use, I think it's called Tweet Dominator, or TWT Dominator, to go and post those tweets. But the trick is, at least for me, and what I believe is my trick, is to send those tweets through an indexer. And I use index inject. And these aren't the tweets, but these are just some links, some old links from this particular domain that I wanted to get recrawled again. So so anyway, but this is the tool that I use for indexing. It's called index inject. It is expensive, and they will kill you. It's not expensive to use the service, but the captcha costs will kill you, because sometimes you have to solve like up to 4 recaptchas, and that can get very costly. So, but it will get your links indexed instantly, and that's what I use. So, anyhow, I send my tweets through index inject. Google picks them up right away, and that justifies the link velocity. And I've done some experimenting with building links to my tweets, and I didn't really track it, so I don't really have any hard data on this. It's kind of just anecdotal, but it seemed like maybe it helped, but I was doing other things at the same time. There was other link building going on, so I can't say for sure that boosting the tweets has any effect. But I tried it. It certainly didn't hurt anything, and I believe that maybe it helped a little bit. So let's just look at some of these rankings. So I'm just going to Google this real quick and see where we shake out. So so look, it's number 3 already, and you can go and look back. The date that I made that video is the date that I published these pages, and it couldn't have been more than 2 weeks ago. So anyway, there's one, and then let's try, I know that this town, Passaic, gets like 70 searches, or it really gets more than 70, but just for bail bonds Passaic or Passaic bail bonds, it gets, I can't remember which variation, but I know it gets around 70. So I don't expect to necessarily be on page 1 for this, but yeah, there we are. We're on page 2 already. So with just a little bit of effort, this can get to page 1, and that's 70 searches. So we'll call it, maybe with all the other variations of that keyword, maybe it'll be 100 or 150 searches a month. So, look, if we're at the top of the organic results, maybe we get, maybe 10 to 20 clicks. And even if, 2 or 3 of those results in a phone call, that's still really good, because we've got all these other pages working for us. So I guess moving on here, try this one. Yeah, see, that's already on page 1. And let's try this one. yeah, that one's already number one. Probably gets, very low search volume in this area, but yeah, I mean, it's already went straight to number one. But just keep in mind, this domain had some power behind it. And what I ended up doing was linking from the home page to the HTML sitemap, and then to kind of pass juice from the home page out through all of these links. So I just dropped a link in the footer, sitemap HTML, and just to make sure that Google could crawl it. And then what I also did was on these pages, I interlinked them. So there's a feature in Mass Page Creator, and even in SERP Shaker the feature exists, but you can link to the next page, and then you can link to the previous page. So that helps when Google hits your site, and that helps the bot crawl through all the pages. And I did set the site up in Webmaster Tools. I submitted a sitemap. I did not submit this because these pages were a separate sitemap. They weren't being picked up by the sitemap XML on the WordPress install. So anyway, these got indexed. Can't remember if I injected them or if they just got picked up because it was a good domain. But anyway, this is the power of mass page sites. I'm going to pause this video for a minute, and I'm going to show you the phone calls. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to show you the phone calls for this, and you can see I set up the call rel number on October 16th, and that was, I'm pretty sure that was probably a test call just to make sure that it worked. But then from the 16th until the 23rd, the site did 26 phone calls, and then from I guess the 23rd until the 30th it did 21. So for October it did a total of 46 calls. I guess a couple here on November 1st, but it's really just, I think it's just getting calls from those, because I put the phone number in the title tag and that shows up in the search results. So that's probably because my site is no longer up. It was, I think the dude put his site back today or yesterday, and today's the 1st. So anyhow, yeah, man, 46 phone calls from the 16th until the 1st, or I guess till the 31st. So in 2 weeks, 46 calls. So you can imagine, had I been able to keep this site and really, move forward with what I had planned, I mean, this thing would have been unstoppable. And it kind of sucks, but, shit happens and can't win every battle. I mean, I made money on it for sure. Like, I'm happy with the price that I sold it for. But at the same time, I would have made, I don't even know, maybe $5,000 a month, maybe. 46 calls, if, of just pretend 46, if 10 of those turn into a bail bond at, just say they're super cheap bonds at, $2,000 or, $2,500 times 10 is 25,000. So, do the math, I guess. I don't even know. I can't even do the math in my head right now, but you can see, that's just the first 2 weeks, and the thing was jamming. And this is not really uncommon. If you find a good domain at auction in a good niche, and you restore it, not restore it to the old site necessarily, but make sure you're doing the right redirects. Look in Ahrefs and see which pages were ranking and when, and then not necessarily duplicate those pages, but yeah, you can go to the Wayback Machine, grab the text, but just make sure you're doing the redirects and that make it look like the person who owned the site before moved to a new site, and the and the SEO that was in charge of moving that site did everything right, basically. So treat it like you're moving one of your customer sites and they're ranking everywhere, and you want to, you know, do all the redirects and stuff. And if it's a page you're not going to duplicate, just, you know, redirect it to the home page or another page that makes sense. So the point to this video is the power of mass page sites. But yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys, and I will, like I said, I'll put a link in the description to Mass Page Creator and let you guys check it out. It's awesome, but that's the power of mass page sites, and that's the power of a mass page site on a domain that I purchased at auction that already had some power behind it, and that was a really just a good buy. And I'll tell you what, if you look in niches, I mean, maybe try to get into something like obscure, right? Like maybe not bail bonds. I mean, you can get in bail bonds if you want, but it's definitely a tough niche. But if you get into something like, I don't even know, like window cleaning or any like other home services, or maybe even financial stuff, like you could probably find some good stuff in the mortgage niche. That's just my opinion. I haven't looked, but I just kind of have a feeling that there might be some good stuff there. I don't really know. I'm trying to give you some suggestions, but I'd say any home service that's not beat to death, like roofers or water damage restoration, or maybe some financial stuff, like maybe even car insurance. That's going to be super tough to rank in, but you might be able to head over to the GoDaddy auctions and find a domain that somebody just dropped or forgot to renew. I would definitely stick with auction domains. Don't go, you could probably maybe even revive some old expired domain, but for me personally, I do it with auction domains because they're fresh. You can look at the history. In this case, the domain was a one owner. It hadn't been owned by several people. So that's what I look for. I hope this video helps you. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments below.